Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. In this video, we're going to be reacting to Denzel Washington telling some truth about race and racism. This is organized by Larry Elder. This is where I've got this information from. I'll try and put the link to the full video in the comment section below. But I saw this and I thought, let's listen to this. I like Denzel. I think he's quite a wise human being, and I just thought let's check it out anyway. All right, without any further ado, let's go. Uh, let's start from the beginning. Actually, I was gonna start from where Denzel was, but let's start from here. All right, let's go.
Is about Denzel Washington, not about his acting, which is great. No, this is about his perspective. He's probably the only person in Hollywood speaking the truth about so-called race relations. Now, don't get me wrong. He's nobody as Republican. He probably wouldn't have voted for Donald Trump if you paid him. But
for Black people in particular, do you think that we can truly make change as things are right now?
Well, it starts in the home. You know, if the father's not in the home, the boy will find the father in the streets. Yeah, I saw it in my generation and every generation before me and everyone since. It starts in the home. You know, if the streets raise you, then the judge becomes your mother and, and prison becomes your home.
This interviewer was determined to get Denzel Washington to go BMW. For those of you.
But hold on a second there. That's a crucial point, isn't it? That's the point about not having that father figure at home. In the line of work that I do, this is very, very prevalent, where you begin either a father or mother, when there is that sense of loss within the home and it's not managed properly, you go seeking for it. But most importantly, father figure. For men, they want to have that role model that they look up to. And if they don't have that, sometimes you do have it in a home and it's still, and that figure is not playing the role that they're meant to be playing. Then you go out there fishing for somebody that's going to fit into that idea of a father figure, and things go sideways because you get the wrong sort of people playing that role. And for a child that doesn't understand what that should look like, then it is dangerous. All right, let's see more.
If you new to the El Dorado Nation, BMW stands for bitch, moan, and whine, and Denzel Washington wasn't having it.
I want to just ask you, though, about the issue of race relations, because the film touches upon that. Right now, under President Obama, over the last 8 years, in your mind, have race relations improved under his leadership?
Race relationships have to do with race relationships. You're white or whatever you are. I'm black or whatever I am. We're standing here talking now. That's how we get things done. You can't legislate love. The president of the United States can't legislate us into liking each other. We have to step forward and ask questions about each other and engage. There's no law that says, oh, because I'm president, you all got to get along now. So it's up to us.
He tried.
Wait, are you kidding? That is brilliant. Okay. So I'm from the UK, and from the UK, when we heard that Obama was elected in the United States, it was absolutely beautiful to kind of see. It was beautiful to see because somebody from a different race had worked hard enough to get themselves into that position. Not because he was a black person and oh my days, they've got him there. No. But he's got to have put himself in a position to get that office. But the one thing that worried me about all of this was the fact that certain groups became or had this sense of entitlement to say, oh, we now have a Black president, so for that reason, we should get A, B, C, D. But the role of a president or a prime minister, wherever you come from, is not to serve one group, is to serve every group. He's president for everyone, not just the Black community. So it was very tricky that the expectations of every Black person was now being levied on his shoulders, trying to remove themselves or relieve themselves, people from all communities, of their own individual responsibility, which is you have a duty to go out there and still show love to everyone. Like Denzel rightly pointed out, you have a duty to go out there and work as hard as everybody else is working as hard. You're not going to get certain compensation or benefits because we've got a white or a Black president. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't make any sense. It was just interesting to just kind of see that narrative being played out. And I like how he didn't kind of fall into that as well. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And again, Denzel, talk to me about systemic, institutional, structural, foundational, endemic racism. And Denzel Washington wasn't going with it.
There's been so many protests in America, especially during the election, Black Lives Matter movement, for example, and those issues. Has that movement in particular, the Black Lives Matter movement, helped race relations or not in America?
Well, listen, we live in America, and in America we have the freedom to express ourselves. We shouldn't take that for granted. So whatever the movements are, whether you agree with them or don't, they have the right to express themselves. So that's one of the great things about being in this country, that you do have the right to protest.
You see, here's the deal. Denzel Washington is not a victocrat. He knows damn well why so many Blacks are involved in the criminal justice system.
Before we try,
Eve Online on Mac immerses you in a universe with boundaries.
That's a crucial point. All of this rights and movement that are coming up, for me, here in the UK, you had footballers taking the knee, and the crowd going ballistic about it and all of that. And whilst I appreciate people's right to come up with this individual movement, the bit that I struggle with the most is when people are trying to force other people to come along with that. That's the bit I don't agree with. So just like you've got the right to create your movement and to say certain people, certain lives matter, that Black Lives Matter, and I completely get that bit. At that point in time, the point of discussion was Black lives. I get that bit, completely get that bit. But here's my issue. My issue is because I'm Black, I have to go with that. I don't have to go with that. The struggle I had with that particular movement, just like with other movement before that, is that it becomes, after a little while, tokenistic. Being able to make the level of change that you need people of all ethnicity and community to come together. Segregating yourself and trying to play all righteous, which was what I perceived that movement was doing at that point in time, just kind of defeats the whole purpose. And obviously since then, there's been a lot of scandals that has come out as a result of the monetary values and how people enrich themselves from that sort of movement, which is a little bit sad. really, because there were certain people that really bought into that movement and wanted change, real change, and somehow they were left deflated. And you've lost those people because now when the next movement comes, this becomes that topic of conversation. Oh, remember when Black Lives Matter came up? It's got to be like that, isn't it? We have to be able to keep ourselves informed to then be able to make the necessary changes. That's what I believe anyway. But there is no harm in constant education anyway. But that's brilliant.
Something I read where you talked about your people from Mount Vernon saying that, you know, like they've done like 40 years in the penitentiary together. So, and, you know, incarceration rates in America has been a problem, especially as opposed to minorities. And Roman delves into the issues around the legal system. Do you think we've made any headway in the
I
legal
think it's more important to make headway in our own house. By the time the system comes into play, the damage is done. They're not locking up 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
You know, I was in Chicago a couple of 3-4 weeks ago, and we saw these little kids on bikes with masks on the side of their head, like 5 or 6 of them. And the driver said, "Yeah, they're little yummies." I said, "Who?" He said, "Little yummies. Look up, Google Little Yummy." Little Yummy was an 11-year-old murderer.
Wow.
And you look at his picture, you'll see the headshot of him. He's like this. And he got murdered at 11 by a 14-year-old.
Wow.
Who's doing life now, and a 16-year-old.
Makes no sense.
You blame the system? Where was his father?
Yeah.
It starts in the house. It starts in the home. And yeah, well, my father got locked up. Well, where was his father?
Yeah.
And Mr. Washington talked about the friends he grew up with and what happened to them.
Like I did talk about my 3 closest friends, and they did, 15 to 25. One did 28, this and that. I was the only one of the 3 that had a father in my life, even though my parents were together. But I still had a father who was a gentle man and a good example. Yeah. And they didn't. We can blame the system if we want, but they didn't lock any of us up at 7.
Yeah.
We were all doing enough to get locked up at 13. My parents sent me in another direction. They didn't have anybody to help them, and they kept doing what they was doing.
The formula for success: hard work, focus, commitment, persistence, perseverance, sacrifice, and believing in yourself.
And that is it. And that literally nails it. It's sad. It's sad because as a parent myself, I have a responsibility to ensure that my kids are equipped for the world that awaits them out there. It's my responsibility to ensure that I equip them with the tools. By not being able to do that, it means I failed my kids. And that's what we need to be doing. We need to be taking up our responsibility. Again, it doesn't matter if you're white or black or whatever. We need to be taking responsibility. What is it that other communities are doing differently that means that their kids are not getting locked up as much as we are? What is it? Why do we always, yes, I get it. I get the point where there are certain idiots in society. We can't tie on everyone because it's not everyone that does it, because you've got certain group of people that are genuine and great. It goes across board, white, black, Hispanic. It doesn't matter. There are good people across all sides. At the same time, you've also got idiots across board. There are certain people that have got racial bias. And again, that cuts across boards as well, because just as you've got certain communities that can be racially biased towards Black people, you've got certain communities as well that are biased towards white people, and will say, I've heard it myself, where they would say, why you get married to a white person? Why can't you get married to somebody of your own race? What happened to being okay with what that person's comfortable with? If that person feels that they want to get married to a white person, then that's on them, right? Or if that person feels they want to get married to a black person, then that's on them, right? I've heard instances where girls have been told you'll get disowned if you get married to a black person. That is that person's own bias, and they need to be able to overcome that. What we cannot then do is say white people or Hispanic people or Asian people are racist. That person you've identified there is racist. But even more importantly is, how have they got themselves there? There's always a trace. There's always a reason that person has got there. And we can't force or impose on them to want to change. There needs to be a desire to want to make that change. That's where I think a lot of the time we get things wrong, where we get people's back up because we want to impose change. When people feel like they haven't got a choice, they would rebel, and that's normal. It's just a shame.
But remember, dreams without goals are just dreams, and they ultimately fuel disappointment. So have dreams, but have goals, life goals, yearly goals, monthly goals, daily goals. I try to give myself a goal every day. Sometimes it's just to not curse somebody out. Simple goals, but have goals. And understand that to achieve these goals, you must apply discipline and consistency. In order to achieve your goals, you must apply discipline, which you have already done, and consistency every day, not just on Tuesday and miss a few days. You have to work at it every day. You have to plan every day. You've heard the saying, we don't plan to fail, we fail to plan. Hard work works. Working really hard is what successful people do. And in this text, tweet, twerk world that you've grown up in, remember, just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done.
If you've ever tried to play piano, I bet one of these 4 problems happened to you.
Remember that. Just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. Don't confuse movement with progress. My mother told me, she said, yeah, because you can run in place all the time and never get anywhere. So continue to strive, continue to have goals, continue to progress.
Quite a contrast.
That's beautiful, isn't it? It's beautiful because certain people have this idea of, because I live in an environment where nobody has been able to make anything of themselves, that means I shouldn't be able to make anything of myself. I listened to this guy. He's called Ren. I've got records of reactions of his music on my channel. And one of the beauty of that guy that I've come to realize, thanks to the people that have reacted to his content and been able to educate me, because there was a lot of things I didn't know. I just saw his music and reacted. That boy on a normal day, if he was to go by societal standards in terms of people that are meant to be able to achieve, he should not be able to get the level of recognition that he has right now, because he's got so many diagnoses, so many struggles, he's going through so many treatments at the moment, and he has the perfect excuse to do nothing. But what does he do? He uses his struggles to as motivation to go out there, and he uses his struggle as a way of educating everybody else. And that's the beauty of the music that he creates, how his mind works and the things that he sees and the things that he feels, and how the system have failed him. But rather than sit back, I'm not going to sit back. I'm going to go out there and look for an alternative, because there is always a way out. For some people, it's harder than others. However, because it's harder doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. We need to set ourselves goals. That's very, very important. We can have dreams. You can dream from here till tomorrow. Or you could dream you want to be in America. You want to travel to America, unless you actually go out there and put the system tools in place to be able to make that trip. And that's simplistic, but I'm just trying to give an example here. You want to be a graduate, you're going to need to put in that work to get there. You want to be an electrician or a carpenter or whatever, you're going to need to go out there and put in the work. You want to be an investor, you're going to need to make the steps to be able to achieve that. You don't just sit back and hope that somebody loses £1 million and you can find it. Okay, why you out of the billions of people on the planet? Why are you more deserving of finding that and not the next person? And then when it doesn't work, we blame the system and say, oh, it's the system that stops us from doing that. Yes, there's certain things we can blame on the system, like inflation and poor management, poor governance and stuff like that. And yes, where maybe in the past, it has been very difficult to be able to get up there in terms of into political spaces and stuff like that. But what is happening now is there's a lot of opportunities coming in, and we need to be able to take advantage of that. People from all races. All right. Stop yabbling, King.
From this,
being a black man in America isn't easy. The hunt is on. And you're the prey. All I'm saying is, survive.
to this,
We all have different talents. Some of you will be doctors, some lawyers, some scientists, some educators, some nurses, some teachers. Yeah, okay. Some preachers. The most selfish thing you can do in this world is help someone else. Why is it selfish? Because the gratification, the goodness that comes to you, the good feeling that I get from helping others, nothing's better than that. Not jewelry, not big house I have, not the cars, but it's the joy. That's where the joy is, in helping others. That's where the success is.
and at the top of Denzel Washington's list of things to do to become successful, put God first.
In helping others. Finally, I pray that you put your slippers way under the bed tonight, so that when you wake up in the morning, you have to get on your knees to reach them. And while you're down there, say thank you for grace. Thank you for mercy. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for wisdom. Thank you for parents. Thank you for love. Thank you for kindness. Thank you for humility. Thank you for peace. Thank you for prosperity. Say thank you in advance for what's already yours. It's how I live my life. That's why I am. One of the reasons why I am today. Say thank you in advance for what is already yours. True desire in the heart for anything good is God's proof to you, sent beforehand to indicate that it's yours already. I'll say it again. True desire in the heart, that itch that you have, whatever it is you want to do, that thing that you want to do to help others and to grow and to make money, that desire, that itch, that's God's proof to you, sent beforehand already to indicate that it's yours. And anything you want good, you can have. So claim it. Work hard to get it. When you get it, reach back. Pull someone else up. Each one, teach one. Don't just aspire to make a living. Aspire to make a difference.
Now, because this...
Oh my days. You know, the thing that gets me is, and it's not a race thing, I think it's a human thing, is that every single one of us, no matter where we are at that point in time, we're doing better than somebody else at that point in time. And we need to be appreciative of that moment, because life is so fleeting. 1 minute you've got it, 1 minute you feel like everything is not going the way you want to go, or everything is perfect and stuff like that. And then something happens and somebody's gone. And the one thing that kicks you the most is that lack, or that opportunity you had to be able to appreciate that moment that you've now lost. I'm not saying this as a reason not to want to push for more, because we need to aspire and push for more. All I am saying is that in our desire to be able to do that, which we should, we need to be grateful and thankful of the moment that we also have. Some people don't believe in God. I do. And I like to pray and thank God. You don't mean I'm perfect, because nobody is. Nobody's perfect. And anybody that says that they are, they're lying. There's always a part of us that we can improve. There's always a part of us that we can do better. But at the same time, whilst we're working on those parts of us, what we don't want to do is act entitled, because we are not entitled to anything. But we can work towards what we want. This is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful.
Dastardly black conservatives said good things about Denzel Washington. I hope he doesn't get canceled. I don't think he will.
Oh.
I'm Larry Elder, and we've got a country to save. I'll see you next time.
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh my days. That's That's stunning. That's such a Denzel thing to do, though, isn't it? It's anyway for me. From the films that I've seen of him, is absolutely beautiful. A beautiful actor. I love the way he acts. And I just like the way he presents himself in terms of talks about things. Sometimes it's easier to just take the easy route, to go, oh yeah, as a black person, I feel persecuted and all of that sort of thing. But do you? Yes, things may have happened to us that were not right at that time, and you question, okay, hold on a second. Like, for example, walking into a room full of people of certain race, and you shake everybody's hands and they're like fine with it, and you get to this one person and you're about to shake their hands as a sign of respect because you've been invited into the home, and they turn around and say, I don't shake black people's hands. And you're taken aback, like, but nobody challenges that. Do I blame everybody in that room? Or do I try and understand what that person or where that person's coming from? Because I'm a black person, do I impose myself on that person and say, you've got to shake my hands? Or I really want to know why. The situation just escalates and nobody gets anything out of that. What you do is take yourself away from that situation. It's not about you. That's the most important thing. It's about that person. What that tells me is that person's got some work to do. It might be fine right now, but what eventually happens is when that person passes on, they've got kids that are growing up in that same image. Can you see how that generation kind of spans on? Eventually, maybe that kid might have an opportunity to get that exposure to be able to learn different. Or maybe not. But what we need to do is treat everybody as individuals. And by doing that, we're able to then have a better planet, a better world. All right, I'll stop rambling on. Absolutely love this. Really, really insightful, really, really motivational. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of it. I thought it was brilliant. And I think we all need to do better. Black, white, Asian, whatever race we're in or from, we need to start seeing people as individuals, and we need to start doing better. All right, until next time, it's been Kings. You guys make sure you look after yourself. Please like, subscribe, and join our community, which seems to be growing, and I absolutely appreciate every single one of you guys. I just get really, really passionate when it comes to race-related topics. I think this is absolutely brilliant. I've had a few recommendations, and I am working through my way on this. Until next time, you guys stay safe, guys. It's been Kings. Peace. Bye for now.